Nathan Paddison. To tell you the truth, I was not prepared for this man's story. What Nathan has achieved in just 5 short years, artistically, most artists would dream about having that career in a lifetime worth of work. 3 years ago, Nathan sold his first painting to a friend for $80, to now having his artwork exhibited in galleries all over the world and auctioned at Sotheby's in the United Kingdom. You see, but it wasn't this that was the amazing part of his story that gripped me. It was what led Nathan to paint in the first place. At an early age, Nathan was abandoned by his father, to which he adored. He then became the man at the family at the age of 10 or 11 years old. In his teenage years, to mask his fear of life and the people around him, he became fighting, and he was good at it, eventually getting addicted to drugs, and then boom, he was sentenced to prison for over a decade. Inside prison, Nathan was stabbed 9 times, nearly lost his life. He was in solitary confinement for over a year, where he befriended a magpie that would visit him every day, and he used that just to keep his sanity. He discovered Buddhism from a cellmate that was in there for murder, and eventually he met a lonely artist who was painting Aboriginal dot painting, who gave Nathan a brush and told him he could paint. When Nathan put brush to ink and then put the first green dot on the paper, he said he felt a surge of energy rushing through him, and he knew at that moment what he was meant to do for the rest of his life, and he hasn't stopped since. That was only 5 years ago. Prepare yourself for this podcast. Look, I know that when Desiree messages me at night going, there's a guy here, you need to get him on your podcast.
Yeah.
And she never says that, but I've got a lot of respect for Desiree. And what she was saying to me is that you're just such an interesting dude. And the one thing she said is, Wayne, what in the 5 years that Nathan's been an artist,
Yeah.
he has achieved artistically what a lot of artists would love in a lifetime.
Yeah.
And I went, whoa. I said, yeah, I'd love. And more importantly, she said, he's such a down-to-earth guy, and he can sit and tell you stories. And I said, well, that's what I'm about. Is getting people on to talk about stories.
Yeah.
So when I was doing a bit of reading about you, and I was just looking at your art, I've got a Hieronymus Bosch out the front there.
Yeah.
And because I saw the Salvador Dali exhibition, and then when it came, and then when I was reading about it, I heard that some of his influences was from Hieronymus Bosch. And I recently finished, which I know you like, there was a Picasso show.
Yeah.
In Genius. It was called Genius, and it was the life of Picasso. Man, what an interesting dude and past that guy had. So I was thinking, you know what? When I was reading about you, I thought to myself, well, when I looked at your paintings and your drawings and paintings, and you work with different textiles, there was a vividness about it. There's a childlike quality about it. But I also found, I don't know where it came from, but there was a sadness in there. Yeah. Even though I'm looking at these dinosaurs and I'm looking at these cats and I'm looking at that, and there was vivid and life and childlike and fun, but there was a sadness there too.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about that.
So
am I right?
Yeah. I think I could be overcompensating for, I feel like I missed a big chunk of things,
What, in your life?
Yeah. So I grew up in Guildford, in Sydney's west, and my dad was really tough, and so looking up to him all the time, and he left when I was young, so I was always trying to gain his respect. So he was a front row forward, he was a boxer, and he used to take me boxing.
I know the type of guy, man.
Yeah. So I'm looking up to him and thinking, all right, I need to be like him. He's left. He's not coming back and seeing me. Like, I need to show him that I'm worthy of being his son,
Oh, so he left. He left you
when we were like 10.
Okay.
He come back randomly, but I barely saw him. He's off with another woman, with their kids, and it's like he forgot about me.
Yeah. And as a kid, man, that is super hard.
Yeah. He's my idol. He's my hero, and he's gone.
Yeah.
So it's like I was searching this whole time for years and years and years, and until 5 years ago, until I found art. At school, I hated painting, and I don't know if that was a thing where in that area, everyone's so tough, and it's everyone who has respect are the tough guys, and everyone's looking up to them. They've got the money, they've got the respect, they've got the women. Yeah. If someone's doing art, they're you know, they're like a girly or, you know, so even though I could draw and I enjoyed that, I'd only draw in my room at home or something, you know, like at school, it's like I'd block it out. So I got into fighting. Yeah, but
Street fighting or
like,
competitive fighting?
Both. Yeah. So it's like I'd learned boxing, Muay Thai. Eventually later on I learned jiu-jitsu and did MMA, but like I had this thing where like, and I feel like I covered myself in tattoos, and I just tried so hard, and like it was like an endless journey to try and be the best fighter, because it wasn't because I wanted to be the best fighter. Like I did want to get my dad's respect, but it's like I was fighting out of fear. So I was fighting because I was scared people wouldn't respect me, or I was scared someone would try and pick on me. But if you're the toughest guy, no one's going to pick on you. So like I wanted that. That's what I thought I wanted. And I thought that's who I was, but it wasn't me. There was nothing. Yeah, it was just like an empty.
Did you know that during that time there was an emptiness there, or you were just covering that with the activity of fighting?
Yeah. No, it's like I thought I wasn't, you know, because I wasn't being the world champion or something, or people weren't recognizing me, or, you know, and I kept stuffing up because I used drugs to mask things. So I was constantly on drugs and going on benders, and, you know, I didn't know why. It's because I wasn't trying to find out who I was. I was trying to be that person for everyone else, or what I thought everyone expected of me.
I mean, the abandonment alone is hard for any kid.
Yeah.
You know, I can't imagine what that pain's like.
Yeah.
But dealing with life through fighting, I mean, Tyson, you could sit here and listen to Tyson. He'd be saying the same thing.
Yeah.
I was afraid.
Yeah.
I was afraid that when I was walking up, the only time I wasn't afraid is when I got in the ring.
Yeah.
But I was scared.
Yeah.
I was scared that people would think I'm a fraud, and if I'm not this good. He got picked on when he was younger, you know, and it's a hard life, man.
It is, yeah.
Hard life. So what age were you what age was it when your dad left? 11?
10.
10.
Yeah.
And it was just you and your mum?
I got a younger brother and 2 older sisters.
Okay.
But so I'm the oldest boy in the house now at 10 years old.
So you think,
and I'm very protective of people that I'm close to.
Sure.
Yeah. So like I thought I had to step up, and I remember this one time this guy rocked up because we had a house party. I think my sister did, and we went past this house, and her friends threw rocks at his house. So this dude came out with a crossbow or something and started chasing everyone. So then, like, by the time I got home, I remember a few days later, this guy must have been lapping the streets or something, but he seen me and my sister sitting on our front fence. And I just remember, like, because I still had that thing of I have to protect everyone, you know, and this dude's rocked up and drove straight into our driveway. And as soon as I seen his face, I just shit myself hard. And all I said to my sister was run inside. And I picked up a scalpel that I had, because I always had a little blade or something, you know, that I'd probably stolen from school or from art class or something, because I was scared, and I knew that when people see that, they run, you know. So I knew that I wouldn't have to fight then. Yeah. I could just, you know, like get away from me, you know. But I remember I pulled that out and went towards him, and he like sort of took off, you know. He's seen it and like thought, geez, this little kid, you know. I might have been 12 or 13. But that was like my thing. Like I wanted that barrier between me and them, you know. I didn't want them to fight me. I wanted them to be scared of me. I wanted them to go away.
So it was like a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
And how did you get through all that, man?
I just went harder and harder. I thought, like, sometimes, like, you know, why do these people keep coming and, like, they're not scared of me. They're not scared of me. Like, I need to be scarier. But it wasn't me. Yeah. You know, like, I needed to run away from that. Like, I needed to be the one running. Like, it's not, you know, and a kid pushed me over at football once when I was younger, maybe 7 or 8. But I remember going off the field and my dad called me a girl or something, or maybe gay or something like that. He's, you know, that's how people spoke back then, you know.
Yeah, sure.
So to me, like, you know, he really looked down on me for that, and that really stuck with me. So from then, I never didn't swing, you know, like, and he always taught me if someone approaches you, you need to swing. Like, don't let them hit you first. So from then on, it was just, as soon as I felt that fear, I'd attack, because I hated that fear. Like, that fear in me was just, it could eat me up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as soon as I feel that now, I just run towards it.
Don't you notice, though, It's funny the influence a father has
Yeah.
on whether you get on with that father or not.
Yeah.
There's an influence.
Yeah.
Like my dad came from the school of tough knocks,
Yeah.
of hard knocks, and he was tough. He grew up in an orphanage, and
Yeah.
he had a vicious temper.
Yeah.
And so growing up, I was quite scared of him.
Yeah.
I was scared of him. But, you know, my dad and I get on okay now. Like he's 87 and
Yeah.
he's an old guy. But, you know, he started to reconcile with his life. And there's a lot of pain there. But, you know, he could say something today and it will still go through you.
Yeah.
It will still hit you.
Yeah.
But, you know, how you, on the search for finding your father,
Yeah.
my wife was the same. She lost in touch with her father, and then one day she went, I need closure of some sort. Like I know
Yeah.
I'm very different to my brother and my mother. I must be like my dad in some way, but I don't know. So she had to go on this search, found him in the middle of the Philippines somewhere.
Yeah.
And it made the difference. And you said it was up until 5 years ago, you said?
Yeah.
Did you catch up with him?
No, I actually, it's strangely, I hadn't spoken to him since 2010 until I think about 6 weeks ago. And I seen him in a fish and chip shop in Taree. And he's from the Central Coast, like hours away. So it was completely random that I'd see him there. And yeah, it was just
Explain that.
such a coincidence.
Explain that feeling when do you remember what?
I don't know, because it was so instant. But I remember going into the fish and chip shop and then someone saying, Nathan. And I turned around, he was right in front of me. I was like, oh shit. No, I didn't know what to say. I was like, oh, hi Dad. Like,
what do you say?
Yeah.
What do you say after so long?
I felt like, you know, he went and had lunch, and I gave him my phone number and told him, I'll come and meet my daughter, you know. We've got an 11-month-old at home, so come and meet her. That's your grandchild. Bring Denise, that's his wife now. So he's brought her around, and I just remember I was really excited to show him my daughter, and that I was now in a place where I was successful.
Very different place.
Yeah. Even though he like came over and he sort of like giggled, you know, he's like, oh, look at this. Like, you know, like he didn't really understand how well I was doing now.
Mm-hmm.
He just thought, you know, I'm painting this silly stuff, or to someone that doesn't understand art, he's looking at this stuff like, oh, wow, like who painted this? Your kids, like, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't explain it to him because I don't know what I thought, but like I know years ago I would have explained it to him, but now I just thought, you know what, like I'm my own person.
That's growth right there.
Yeah.
The need that you don't have to explain yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which means to me, you stop seeking his approval.
Yeah. I think when I found Buddhism, I found it just before I found art. So it was kind of like I found Buddhism and I started like trying to figure out who I was and like why. I go into jail, and I went to jail. I ended up doing 12 years out of 16 years from between 19 and 35. And it was all through drugs and, you know, just going out and fighting on the streets. And
yeah.
So he's like in there, but I just remember everyone, they told me I was so different, like I didn't belong there. But they said whenever I go into a wing, like, you know, everyone respects me there. Everyone knows I can fight. Everyone knows, like, you know, I'll go to the next level. They don't know I'm doing it out of fear, you know? Like I walk around confidently, but really inside I'm like, no one approach me. Don't approach me, you know? I don't want the trouble. I don't want that.
Yeah.
You know? And it was like this shell I had on, this armor. But they all said, when you're in a wing, you light it up. Like everyone's happy. You know, like you bring this energy, and as soon as you leave, everything goes to shit. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but like I always try and make the best out of things. So even being in a cage with everyone and everyone trying to be depressed and that, I'd just, you know, I'd play games and do pranks and all that stuff, you know, trying to lift people's spirits. And it was just a thing with me where I do that with people. Like, yeah, I just feel it's like, you know, you get into the Buddhism and even before that, like I'd feel energy. You feel the energy of people sometimes and you want to give them the energy you've got. You're like, you know, I want you to feel this. This is like, I feel so great, you know, and even if you put a cage around me, I'm going to make the best of it. I'm going to smile and I'm going to do what I can to be happy.
Did that start in jail or has that always been part of who you are?
It's always been part of me, yeah.
Right. So the fear didn't escalate in jail? Did it escalate?
No. So when I was little, I don't know, I had this feeling that I'd always go to jail and I thought that I'd be famous. Like these two things.
Really?
They always were stuck with me.
Wow. I
Yeah.
wonder where that comes from. Since how old?
So I remember in primary school telling people that I was going to go to jail when I was older, because they were like, you're always misbehaving. You're always on detention. And I was like, oh yeah, I know. I'm going to be in jail when I'm older. Because I just thought I'm the bad kid. That's where the bad kid goes. That's where the bad kid ends up.
Right.
Yeah, so it's really weird. And even in prison, I remember, I was there for years, and I just thought, I used to think back to when I was younger, and I always thought I'd do 10 years or something, So when I'd done 4 or 5 years, it's like I'd had already convinced myself that that wasn't enough. So I'm still going to come back, so don't worry about it.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a really weird thing. But thinking that I was always going to be famous too, I actually thought that it was going to be something I'd done wrong.
Like infamous. You're
Yeah.
going to be this infamous.
Yeah.
Mm.
But it was things that I'm thinking, like all these people that are infamous, like murders and stuff, but I'm not going to commit to that. I don't want that. You know what I mean? I can't take that step. So I don't know like where this is coming from. And I think I sort of dropped that and just kept with I knew I was going to go to jail. So this is okay because I already knew that.
Wow. Now, here's something when it comes to you saying, do you believe in free will or a determined fate? Like your fate was determined from birth?
No, I
or
think
free will.
Yeah, I think free will. Like you make it happen. You can make things happen.
But how do you know those things weren't meant to happen from the beginning?
Yeah.
Well, do you know why I say that? It's been my eternal question as a kid.
Yeah, it is a hard question because I think that too sometimes, like you go left or right, then you go, oh, well, I have a choice now. And then you say, all right, I'll go left. But then it's like, was that already happening? Was that?
Yeah. And am I, like, you said prison.
Yeah.
And you think, okay, was that determined and you had an insight into that future vision of your life, or you thought it was free will, and the more you tried to move against that, you drew it closer and closer and closer? It's, when I ask that question, because I still don't know, I used to be a free will, like everything is a free will. And I remember I was young and I went to see this past life regression person. And she said to me, Wayne, your life is a tree. And I see the things I'm telling you is apples. Like, so each apple has a vision and a moment in your life. That's what the apple represents. And I said to her, but after this conversation, surely I have the decision to grow another branch that grows new apples. And she said, no. She goes, no, the tree I see is going to be your tree. And I walked away going, that can't be right. But the more I was fighting against that thought, things started to happen in my life where I suddenly was going, oh shit, is that true?
Yeah.
And I hate to know that my tree's already be planted and grown.
Yeah.
I think any human wants their free will, you know. And all the old mythologies I went to, the Greek mythology, Pandora came down to earth and let go of all the earth's miseries, and the only thing left behind was hope. And the humans said, we can use hope to fight all of those things like plagues and disease. But then Zeus said, I put hope in there to give you the illusion that you have control.
Yeah.
So I'm just reading this going, oh, you got to be joking, and all of this. But yeah, I often think that because you had prison and famous, did you draw that to you by saying that when you were young?
Yeah. Did I create that?
Did you create that reality?
Yeah. So my fiance always tells me I manifest everything, like I make it happen, And I sometimes think, I do, because, when I send my paintings out, I always write love, love, love on them because I want people to love them. So I send them with love. When I paint, I only paint with love. Like if I have a bad vibe about me, I can't paint. I won't paint.
Oh, is that
because
right?
I don't want to put it on the canvas, because I want what comes off the canvas to be exciting and happy, and I want people to, feel what I feel.
Is there a fear there of showing that fear in your paintings?
Maybe.
That, like you said, there was a fear when you were younger.
Yeah. Like I don't want them to see that side.
You don't want them to see, but that could be the side.
Yeah.
But is the fear there anymore?
Nah, I don't think it is, because
that's the difference.
Yeah. Like now I'm not afraid to cry. Like I don't think I cried for 20 years. Like until I found Buddhism and art. It was like, I I thought my teardrops dried up. Like I'd hear sad things and then, you know, like I'd be sad, but I just wouldn't cry.
Now it's like fucking Niagara Falls.
Bang. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're connected with the emotion now.
Yeah.
It's different.
Now I can understand it and process it, and I actually care what my feelings are. Like, you know what I mean? Like I try to understand them. Whereas before I try to block them out. And like if it's a sad feeling or a scared feeling, I dismiss it. Like that's not me. You know what I mean? I'm this brave warrior, like tough guy, like,
But, you know, if those things do resurface, some of the pain, and would you put that in your art?
I see, maybe I think I'm scared to do that.
Yeah.
Because I have such a good following of the happy stuff that I don't want to show them that maybe.
But because when I said to you right at the beginning of the podcast that I picked up a sense of sadness.
Yeah.
And that made you emotional.
Yeah.
So obviously it is in the painting somewhere.
Yeah.
You may not see it.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at this Tyrannosaurus Rex with these, you know, these sharp teeth and the cats with these eyes, and I loved it.
Yeah.
But there's a taint of, it's stained with a little bit of sadness, and I didn't know if I was getting it right.
Yeah.
But when I said it, you went emotional, and I'm thinking, well, is there? And you don't know it.
Yeah.
I don't know, but isn't that a good thing with an artist? You're discovering yourself more with your art.
Yeah.
I don't know.
A lot of my stuff I paint, and then I'll look at it and realize why I've done it.
Yeah. That happens in art.
Yeah.
And in writing too.
Yeah.
Writing, sculpturing.
Yeah.
You know, one guy said to me, Wayne, you already, there's the, you know, like you got the block of clay, and he said, yourself is the sculpture, and what you do through life is you just chip away at the clay, and eventually you come to the core of who you are.
Yeah.
But it's a never-ending journey of self-discovery.
Yeah.
Artists can just navigate that better because we are conscious of it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think what with Buddhism is about letting go.
Yeah.
Buddhism is all about letting go, letting go.
Yeah.
Thoughts come in, thoughts go out.
Yeah.
Thoughts come in, thoughts go out. And now learning that, I also read somewhere that there's an urgency about your paintings. It's not so much about the task as it is getting things out of you.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
That is, yeah. Like I can paint sometimes up to 10 paintings at a time because I'll be like on that one and I don't know what to do, so I'll jump between them, and I just want it all out, like, you know. And it could also be like I feel like I missed that big part, and I need to get it all out, like.
Yeah. What could be happening is because you've built this brick wall around you as a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
As a child.
Yeah.
And you had to prevent yourself from getting hurt.
Yeah.
You know, your dad will say one thing in the football field.
Yeah.
You remember it because you talked about it.
Yeah.
So what you do is, I got so much pain from that. So, because I remember it, I put a brick there.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you're in prison, you put a brick there. We all do it.
Yeah.
It's not just you. Everyone does it.
Yeah.
And as an artist, the hard thing is ripping down those bricks.
Yeah.
But once those bricks come down, the emotions are more accessible. Your tears are more accessible, which is why now it's nice that you can just let it out, and your art. So maybe the urgency is all of these emotions that you had suppressed.
Yeah.
Is suddenly just coming through,
Yeah.
and you just need to get it down.
Yeah.
Before you lose it, and I don't know whether that could be the reason for the urgency.
Yeah.
Because when I read that, I was like, that's a question to ask.
Yeah.
There's an urgency about Nathan's paintings, and it's not so much about the task as it is about getting what's inside of him out there on that. My thing is, how did you discover art?
See, this is interesting. Yeah. So my friend, he's an Aboriginal artist. He was doing dot paintings. And I'd always hated painting. So when I was with him,
always hated painting.
Yeah, at school I hated it. I think it's because I didn't have control over the brush, and you look at an artist and you think they're not tough, and you know, all that stuff. So, but I remember the art teacher, she really loved me. She would sit me outside by myself and give me space, and because she knew I was like, you know, so easily distracted, and Like I'd misbehave, but if I went by myself, I could do things.
Right.
Because I'd have nothing to do. So now I'd have to do that because I wanted,
Sure.
I'm distracted by that now. But yeah, sorry, I just got lost then.
Yeah, you're talking about, we were talking about my question was, one is the urgency, but two is getting all those paintings out. And then when did you discover?
Oh, yeah.
How did you discover?
He was doing
that your friend had a...
Yeah. And I asked him if he had pencils because I knew, like, I don't mind drawing and that. And I was a little bit bored and I was like, have you got any pencils I can just draw with? And he's like, oh, no, I don't. He said, but you can paint if you want. So I grabbed this piece of paper and I thought, all right, wait, I'm just going to, I looked at him and he's doing dots and I've looked at the brush and I thought, so I've just flipped it, used the back end because I thought, I don't know how to use this brush. So I've just thought, I'll just do dots like you. And then I drew this Viking. But the first dot was a green dot because green was my favorite color. So I went straight to the green and I just put that dot on and I don't know what happened, but as soon as I seen that dot, the color, like I just fell in love with it. Like it was so vibrant and
from that first dot.
Yeah, just from that first, I always remember that first dot, that green dot.
Wow.
It changed my life. Like,
wow.
Yeah, but I just remember it so vividly. And after that, I was just like, wow, like it was just like it just said, Nathan, this is you. Come to me.
Man.
Yeah.
See, people.
And I did not stop.
People go through their whole life.
Yeah.
To get that feeling.
Yeah.
I was quite lucky. I got that. It wasn't in anything specific like film or writing. It was storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wayne, you need to tell stories. That is why you were born.
Yeah.
It's not to be the biggest person here, the biggest person. You just need to tell stories.
Yeah.
Whether it be through this.
Yeah.
Or writing or taking a photograph.
Yeah.
If you do it, you'll be happy.
Yeah.
And happiness is peaceful.
Yeah.
You know, people search more for pleasure these days than peace. And I think if you can gain peace and be happy and you live a balanced life, you can't ask for more. But people go through their whole lives hunting for that.
Yeah.
You ask a lot of people on the street, probably mates of yours.
Yeah.
What is your purpose? What do you think you're here for? They don't know.
Nah.
And it was probably that was calling to, you know, one of your paintings just has to be this big green dot, mate.
Yeah.
This big green. Because because that was that.
Yeah.
That was so nice to hear.
Yeah.
Because that one green dot said everything.
Yeah. And even though I felt it then, like, I was more excited about the painting and the paint. Like, even now, I just wish I had that dot. Like, I'd cut it out and frame it and, you know, like, yeah, keep it close.
So it wasn't a painting after that or finishing that painting. It was that first dot.
Yeah, just the first dot. It just drew me, like, it's like I just went into another dimension. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's funny because it was in jail, which is why I had no pencils because they won't give you pencils at Silverwater. So after that, I had to get paint off him because he was painting murals in the wing. They were letting him paint, which you can't have paint there either, but he had it. So I got the paint off him and I started painting the boards in the cells. Like I'd divide them up and do paintings but other places you can get them. So as soon as I left there, like anyone that had paints, I was like, give me them. And all of a sudden I didn't care what anyone thought of me. I knew everyone was saying, Nathan's losing his shit. He's gone. Like,
there he is in the wing, like drawing dots.
He's painting. Like, you know, the guy in the wing that everybody's looking up to, everybody's saying, you know, like, oh, you got to ask him, you know, like all of a sudden he's in his cell painting now. He doesn't care what anyone's doing. Like he's just, it's like my spirit left and my body was still there just waiting to come home. Yeah. And so for 2 years, every day.
Do you know what? It's weird. It's great hearing a story that when you were a kid, you knew you were going to go to prison and then get a form of fame.
Yeah.
Really, you needed to go to prison.
Yeah.
In order to discover that Indigenous guy that did dot paintings in the wing for you to eventually paint that green dot.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know it was in the prison. I kept thinking you were saying it was a teacher that took you outside.
Well, no, he was my friend.
Right, okay.
I went back to my teacher, yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. But I do tell people, and I have told a couple of people who was in jail, but most people I just say my friend. I was just at my friend's.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't like that in, you know, some people People
Nathan,
do
man,
like to judge.
that makes you, no,
Yeah.
you're at the point now where you can go, fuck people.
Yeah, fuck them. Yeah.
Fuck them. Because
if you're going to judge me, you're not worth
listen,
it. Yeah.
would I talk to a painter? I mean, all painters have demons like we discussed, but that makes you who you are.
Yeah.
Own that. Be proud of it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be here where you are today if it wasn't for jail.
I think that too. Like, what if I painted when I was younger? Like, I wouldn't be painting like this.
No.
Because I don't have that experience and I don't have that, like, I'd be a totally different person.
Well, you would have been open to your emotions back then,
Yeah.
so which would have made the paintings very different.
Yeah.
There's a reason why
It's like it was bottled in for so long.
Bottled in for so long, and then that green dot
Bang.
was that
Explosion,
green dot was the first hole in the dam.
Yeah.
And that's why all you're doing now is plugging up these holes in the dam with your paint. Each dot is a painting that you're plugging.
Yeah.
But that, man, never be ashamed of your past.
Yeah.
Honestly, because one, it makes you more mysterious.
Yeah.
Especially as an artist, you know. You got this artist over here, you know, you got Dave over there, he's doing his paintings. But then, you know, you got Nathan over here who went to jail, who hid his feelings. He had his, you know, a tough childhood, abandonment with his dad. And now he's painting these visceral these paintings that what would you spend your $1 million on a painting?
Yeah.
I want that guy in my living room in his painting, you know?
Yeah.
So don't be ashamed of the past, man. Because that just, as an artist, the fact that you've lived that colorful past and you've learned through that, you've now discovered Buddhism and your paintings are reflecting your past and who you are today. You know, it's funny. I created some of the best pieces for me during the toughest moments of my life. Yeah. And a person said to me, Wayne, you really got to go back to that idea. Because I was lucky enough to get paid for the art too. Yeah. And they said, Wayne, you really got to go back to that idea and make that into a book. And I said, yeah, I've always wanted to do 20 years, you know, I need to, because I'd written the whole thing. But I wrote it at a very different time. And, you know, today I went to the laptop and I thought, I can't write that today because I'm a very different person today. Yeah. I don't have that pain I had when I was in my early 20s. Yeah. So it was weird. It was a weird thing to recognize that I don't have this connection to this story. Yeah. I had it when I was in my 20s because I was going through so much pain then. But that pain wrote that story. Yeah. So you could look back at your artwork and that art could be that representation of that point of your life. Yeah. So you might, I don't know if you still have those paintings from prison. I
do. They're all on A4 paper. I've got hundreds of them because I was painting every night.
That's great, man.
And they're all like distorted faces.
Yeah.
Like I just do these faces and I just I just warp them and, you know, I don't know if it's where I was, you know, the people around me, not, you know.
Like a warped sense of self or warped sense of people.
Yeah.
You're in prison, but you're finding love.
Yeah.
Even that's a paradox, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Around all these people I've spent so many years with that all look up and respect me, and then I've just dropped it all and I've told them I'm going home. Like I'm going home, I'm not coming back.
Wow. Yeah. Do you still keep in touch with any of them?
A couple of them, yeah. Like as long as they're not on drugs or doing anything bad. Like I do have a few friends that they've gotten out, they've got jobs, they're on the straight path now, and I will talk to them. And I've had other friends try and contact me, like old friends. I say I don't want a part of that. Like I can't have that in my life anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's just not who you are anymore.
Yeah, it's not me. Yeah.
And because you're married now.
I got a fiance.
Yeah. Oh, congrats, man. Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah. So isn't that an interesting story?
Yeah.
And do you think as well that do you think you missed out on a childhood?
Yeah, I think I did. Like, and maybe I put that in my paintings, or I refused to grow up sometimes.
That was a question. That was one of my questions, because I thought, you know, you've got these childlike, you've got kings and queens. Yeah. You've got cats. You've got tyrannosauruses, and I'm thinking that's all stuff from childhood.
Yeah.
And I'm always interested in the why of the painting. So maybe that, from listening to you, maybe that's it. Maybe you're bringing these things out of childhood.
Yeah. And I surround myself with them, maybe like in my shed where I paint, like I've got them on that wall, that wall, that wall. I hang them there when they're drying, and I create this little world. Like I'm in the toy box, I'm in the middle.
You know what I mean? That's why you're so good at it.
Yeah.
You know, often people that have missed out on childhood,
Yeah.
whatever they put their energy into to try and capture that again through whatever.
Yeah.
That's why they say, the saying today is, it's bad to be childish, but it's really good to be childlike.
Yeah.
Because everyone is trying to search for that inner child.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter whether you're a judge or whether, you know, you're in the medical world.
Yeah.
People have lost that inner child.
Yeah.
And there's a saying that I've always loved, and I've lived my life by it. And I heard someone say it years and years ago, and it was, if you stop laughing at life, life ceases to be funny.
Yeah.
And you start to see a lot of people who've stopped laughing at life years and years ago. Life's just become this hard drudge, you know, this trench warfare that they've got to move through. But the people who do find things they love to do and occupy their time with that thing they love to do, they end up smiling more. They laugh a bit more. There's a lightness to them. And the fact you found Buddhism as well.
Yeah.
So suddenly your life is becoming whole and centered. And I think that's great. So that explains the childlike qualities about your paintings. I don't know, because you're experiencing that joy now that you didn't probably when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I actually had this thought similar to that the other day. I seen someone working that they were in the restaurant or whatever, and I could say they weren't having fun. Like, you know, they're just at work. I've just got this because it's a job, you know. And I thought, I wonder how long ago you had a dream, and how long will you be in this job till you lose that dream and you forget about it, and how slowly does that drift away and you don't feel it drift away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then all of a sudden you're 40 and you've got kids and you've forgotten about that energy, and, you know, you've lost your dream.
And we all had it.
Yeah.
Every kid when they were young,
yeah,
you know, would get a crayon out or climb a tree and pretend there was in some fantasy world. And when you lose that, it's sad.
Yeah.
Because that's what's kept me going in my whole life. Like, my imagination is a wondrous thing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they say, if my wife said to me, and I'm sorry for the listeners because I bring this up all the time, self-worth.
Yeah.
Self-worth comes from a place where if you lose everything in your life, your painting, your fiance, family, kids, everything, you lose your job, lose your house, you're on the street, whatever you have left is where you build your self-worth from.
Yeah.
And I had to really sit back and think, and mine has always been my ability to smile in the tough times, but I escaped through my imagination. I could create stories and wonders around me and smile at that. Yeah. And I've always had the ability to do that as a kid. And it started with me giving a show and tell at school. And I had a dinosaur and the dinosaur fell from my hand and it broke. And all the kids started laughing. Yeah. And so all I wanted to do was crawl away. But yet I started to tell a story about a dinosaur that would visit me every night through my window, and I'd jump on his back and it could fly and it would take me on these adventures. And they clapped at the end of it. Yeah. And every Monday they would go, Wayne, because we had show and tell for the weekend. Yeah. Wayne, another story, another story. So I'd get up there and I'd tell another adventure. Yeah. And that was my green dot. Yeah. And I've made a film about that.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that was my green dot.
Yeah.
And I knew then I need to tell stories.
Yeah.
And it could be in any form. So it's great to hear other dinosaur stories. Yeah. And you paint dinosaurs. So that was great. Where do you think dinosaurs came from?
I don't know, but I see that I seem to paint predators, but then I do them pink, or I try and make them happy and put good energy with them. But so it's like, I feel like maybe people look at me sometimes like I'm that predator, but like not to judge me, like, you know?
Yeah.
Don't think that everyone that looks scary is scary. Like, they don't have to be scary.
Oh, okay. So well, you're explaining what you thought when you were back in the day.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be afraid anymore.
Yeah.
I'm the predator, but inside you don't know what I'm going through.
Yeah.
I'm not that person
It's like
at
the
all.
opposite now. I wanted them to look at me like that. Now I don't want them to look at me like that. Like,
Isn't that?
Yeah.
That's interesting. And that's what your paintings
Yeah.
are showing.
And I feel like, you know, sometimes I am that dinosaur, but I'm not. You know, I
Yeah,
might
because
look
look
like
at me,
that
I'm
dinosaur.
freaking pink.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But do you still see yourself as a predator?
Nah.
You know,
Not at all.
do you still think people see you as one?
Sometimes, you know, people who I don't know or something, maybe, you know, like I still get that thing like where I grew up, like you'd walk past a car or something with your friends and they'd be at the lights or something, they'd look at you and lock the door, or you'd walk past a lady and she'd grab her hand.
You?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And
dude, you got a baby face. What are you talking about? Take away that status. I saw you downstairs. I'm like, look at this guy.
Yeah. But I just, you know, it used to really get to me. And I used to think, like, lady, I'm not like that. Like, you know? Yeah. And it just, it ate at me a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, I know. But that's now as an adult, you know, that's their problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Now,
can you imagine the pain they've had in their life for them to reach over and lock the door? How afraid they are.
Yeah. Like maybe something's happened
Insular
to them.
in there. Yeah. You know, again, it's that perspective.
Yeah,
I think
I don't have to take that on.
No, not anymore. It's like the road rage that happens on the streets. And my wife will always say, yeah, but they're the ones in a rush. They're the ones that are angry.
Yeah.
You don't need to take that on.
Yeah.
You know, feel sorry for them. Don't get angry at them. Feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
You know, it's about that perspective, you know, that perspective change, you know. But yeah, that was the other question I had for you was somebody had wrote, it's like Nathan, it's like a rebirth. Yeah. Within your paintings.
Yeah.
But I know what that is now.
Yeah.
So I'd sort of had a sort of, these are reading about you. Reading about anybody that comes on, I'll read and I'll go, I'm wanting to know more about that side.
Yeah.
More about that side. The other one I sort of know now, but is about where you said somewhere that you wanted to explore more about addiction.
Yeah.
Within your paintings.
Yeah.
Right? Was that the drugs that you were talking about before?
Yeah.
Or alcohol?
Yeah.
What drugs was it?
Drugs. So like, at first it was just marijuana, then like ecstasy and speed. And then eventually what happened was I was in jail and I ended up in the STG, which is the security threat group inside the prison. So they house the worst 10 inmates there in the whole system. So they put me in there at Lithgow, which is, it's a double maximum jail inside a maximum jail.
Really?
Yeah, like you can't see anything. You can't see, like you look out your window, it's a brick wall.
Oh, shit.
You don't have a TV, you don't have a radio, I didn't have a book.
So no rehabilitation in that?
Yeah, there's nothing. They take your socks, your undies, all your toiletries, like you have to use jail soap, jail undies, jail socks. You get nothing. You're allowed out in your backyard. You can't mix with anyone.
So you were put there for a time or?
13 months.
Oh.
Yeah, so for 13 months I had no television, everything was just in my head. I'd wake up at 6 in the morning and I'd purposely lift my bed up so I wouldn't lay down in the day because otherwise I knew I wouldn't sleep at night. So I'd get up and I'd just walk up and down all day. Like I remember it was 6.5 steps and I could turn. I could do it with my eyes shut. Just 6.5 steps and back. And I must have walked 20, 30, 40 Ks a day. Like I didn't stop walking. Just trying to tire myself. And
so you could sleep.
Yeah. And because you only get the jail food, you only get these minimum bits of food, I'd break my meals in half so that every 2 hours I could have half a sandwich or something. And I'd break my workouts up so I wouldn't burn myself out. So I'd do maybe a couple of chin-ups on the bars out the back. And then later on I'd tie my towel to the bed and do some curls or something because the bed lifted. Yeah, but with that, it was. I had a friend there, which was a magpie. This magpie used to come to me every day. Like I knew when dinner was, it knew when breakfast was, and I'd save it the little bits out of my dinner, like the bits of fat and cheese and nuts that it liked. And eventually, it'd walk into my cell when my back door was open. Yeah, I could do laps, and it'd walk in. I'd put some peanuts on the ground, and it'd crack them with its beak, and that was my friend there.
Did you lose anyone close to you when you were young?
I've actually never. I've never been to a funeral.
Right.
Yeah, it's
only because when you said that, I had on a guy who was very high up in football and a very spiritual guy. And he was an Indigenous guy, and in our time, his name was Phil Narkle. He was a great football player. He said that at his most troubled times, his ancestors would come to him through animal totems and help him.
Yeah.
And the minute you said that,
Yeah.
I'm thinking that it's obviously a guide that has come for you.
Yeah.
Because here you are talking about it. Some people just instinctively go, it's an animal.
Look,
that we became friends.
Yeah.
But I think that magpie was sent for you.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting that you said that?
It's crazy because that JL Lithgow, like when you're in the normal wing, is all you see are cockatoos and, you can see the mountains and all that. You go into there and it's like a dead zone. Like you never see a magpie out in the normal jail, but as soon as you go in there, you see crows, magpies, they'll come down. And you hear the cockatoos outside beyond this, 3-story brick fence that's all you can see. You can hear people out there like, running around in the yard and yelling out to each other and that. But for 13 months, that's all I heard.
How did you get through that, mate?
I don't know. I just went into my head. But the funny thing was that if you behave yourself for 6 months, you can get a television.
It's like that little reward.
Yeah, but if you swear at them, they'll take it back. So I refused to do their program. I said, I'm not doing it. You put me here for allegations because like they know I was respected in the jail and people would listen to me. So if anything happened, apparently that was me then. Like they blame me for it because they thought, it always has to come from someone whoever's running the yard. But it wasn't me, like they actually, I got sent back there and the governor didn't like me there. He put me straight into Segro, straight off the truck, straight into Segro. Then he's came and with the STG people giving me my 3rd warning because you get 3 warnings and then you go there. And I said, this is bullshit. I've had 2 warnings. I've got 1 assault charge on my whole record in 10 years or something. And a couple of tattoo charges. I said, there's people in here, like they're in here because they've stabbed people. Like they've stabbed them 20 times and they've done it numerous times, gone to Segro for it. Like you keep putting me in Segro because you don't like me, because people listen to me, because you see us having fun.
Then they don't want that.
Yeah, and they don't want that. They don't like that.
Isn't that fucking crazy?
Yeah.
Jail's meant to be there for rehabilitation.
Yeah. And I actually tried to refuse to go back to the wing because they gave me the 3rd warning. And I said, as soon as I step in that wing, you can make up anything about me. I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there because I know that's what you're doing to me. And they said, no, you have to go. You're going back. And I was like, this is bullshit, right? So went back. Sure enough, 2 days later, I was at the sewing shop because you have to work in that wing. And they've said, oh, Nathan, the clinic wants you. I said, no, they don't. I said, you sure about that? I said, they don't want me. And he goes, no, they're calling you now. I said, there's nothing wrong with me. I said, they don't want me. And I remember going out and I grabbed my Discman because I knew they were taking me. And I had my Discman there. I said, I just got to grab my Discman. He said, oh, you're coming back? I said, no, I'm not. And I grabbed my Discman. Yeah, and I grabbed my CD and I went to the fence and because I'd argued with him for 5 minutes, I don't think that the squad realised that, like the ones with the vests and all that runs here, I don't think they'd realised that I wasn't there yet. So I remember walking out to the gate and seeing him running across to the clinic. And I was like, Chief, and put my hand up because I knew they wanted me. Like I just knew it, and they've gone running across. One of them looked at me, he's like, oi. And then they've all just come bolting over, grabbed me, handcuffed me, took me to Segro, yeah. Just sitting in the sewing shop.
So when we were talking about addiction, you were talking about what you did in that cell.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. It was just like I put myself in that routine and I made sure.
That was like a survival thing though, right?
Yeah, it was.
Keep your mind on the level.
Yeah. And I think I also didn't want them to give me anything that they could take back, because then I'd value it once they gave it to me. And then if I lost it, then I'd lose something and I'd be upset. But I was on this plane of just, it was like numbness sort of, but I wasn't happy and I wasn't sad, but I was in between. And I just wanted to stay there. I didn't want to get happy because I thought I'd be sad, because if they give me something make me happy, then they're just going to bring me back down, because I've seen them doing it to the other boys. Yeah.
You said you discovered Buddhism before art.
Yeah. So my cellmate,
okay,
funnily enough, so he was actually in for murder, but he was a Buddhist monk back in the day. Yeah. I don't know if it's he misbehaving, his mum sent him there, but I remember he showed me photos. And
where was he from?
Laos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they've shown me photos, and he's he's the only one sitting there with a tattoo sleeve, like sleeve tattoo. So he stood right out, yeah. But I remember thinking that, like, did you misbehave and your mum sent you there? And
Yeah.
that's how you
As a
became a
punishment.
monk, yeah. Because you've obviously already got the tattoos and that, and
Mm.
then you've come back and misbehaved again.
And he was introducing you. And what was his story?
Well,
You said, oh, how did he get into Buddhism?
oh, so
Did he
I think that
misbehave?
I think that was just like his family were Buddhist, and then I think he was causing a bit of trouble. So they've said,
Sure.
you know, we're sending you to Laos. You're going to be a monk. And
Yeah. Can you imagine that as a punishment?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah. Same in Burma. So it's the same in Burma. Like, you've got monks there that have committed crimes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they know there's a retribution for that in Buddhism. So a lot of them are just young kids that have to go do their time there.
Yeah.
But they at least come out with a principle that they can follow after that. So what happened when he introduced that to you?
I just, I don't know if it was me, or I think I was just intrigued by it because I'd seen the Shaolin monks, and you know, I was so intrigued by Buddhism, and to be sitting in a cell with a Buddhist like monk, that someone that's been a monk, I thought, you know, I have to know this. Like, you know, show me, like, what is this? Like, he had a little, one of the little cabinet things. He had his shrine in.
Mm.
Yeah, so he started showing me things and like reading me through things and that, and I sort of just took a little bit of it on. But once I found out, I realized that, you know, I started thinking about that stuff more. And I wanted to know more about that because it helped me with my art, and especially with the energy, like the good energy and negative energy. And what happened was it's actually weird. So I was at Silverwater, and they actually locked me and my friends in a wing for nearly 3 months, like the seniors. Well, we started ringing up and complaining because we were there for no reason. It's just because they didn't like us. Like, we were the troublemakers apparently. So put them all there. We're just going to lock them up, and we're not going to let them mix with anyone. I said, but we haven't done anything. Like, you know, people are in Segro for things. They've done things. Like, we haven't done anything, you know. I'm just in jail for doing something outside. Like, leave me here.
Yeah.
And then we were there, and I remember it was so strange. The first day they took us there, they told us, oh, you just go into that wing. I got there, there's like 10 boys there already. They're like, Nathan, we're trapped. I was like, bullshit, what? And they started telling me. I'm like, no way. So they've come to our cell, and so that wing had to get locked down at lunchtime to let us out for an hour. But they'd bring maybe 30 screws and line them all up with gloves on from our cells to the door. And then we had to walk out one at a time. You know what I mean? Like, trying to intimidate us and do whatever, you know. And I was just like, and I just kept ringing. And they came down and threatened me and said, listen, if you keep ringing them up, we're going to make your life hell. You know, we'll make sure something happens to you. And I said, I don't give a fuck what you do. I said, I've got nothing. Like,
what have I done?
Just taken everything, and I've done nothing, like, you know. And so then a couple of days later, I remember they came and raided the cell, and they made up they found a little tattoo gun, because we made a little tattoo gun because we were bored as shit. Yeah. Right, and they've taken that, and they're like, all right, so now you're off amenities for 90 days. We're taking your telly, we're taking everything. I'm like, so we're just sitting in the cell now. So we're like, all right, sweet. They've taken it, but we managed to score one off. Someone sent me up some bupe in jail, which is like, you know, which is like drugs, and you use it to trade. And so I had that, and I'm like, all right, I'm swapping this for a telly. Like, we're getting a telly. Like, that's our lifeline, you know. That's our lifeline here. So I've put it under, and they've put it in a pillowcase and wrapped it all up and put it in the laundry. And when we went out for an hour, we came back in and grabbed it like it was our laundry. And then I actually remember strapping it to the back of the tub so that when they come in and search, they'd pull the tub and wouldn't see it behind it. Yeah, so we did it really well. I don't know how we did it, but you get very crafty in there. Yeah. A couple of days later, I rang up again. I said, listen, they've just taken all our stuff, because I thought, nah, this is wrong, like, you know, and I'm going to keep putting this on you. If you're going to tell me not to do something, I'm going to do it because I know you're wrong. Well, they've sent me to Goulburn. So they've put me in a yard with these guys that they're white supremacy. That's the name of their gang. And,
God,
you know, these guys hate me. They absolutely hate me. But they've taken me there, and I thought, no, I'm going out in the yard. I don't care, like, you know what I mean? Like, I've got respect everywhere, wherever I go, rah, rah. Well, I actually went out there and I'd had dramas with him before individually. So when I went out there, I actually told him, I said, listen, this isn't your yard anymore. This is my yard. Well, sure enough, 2 o'clock in the arvo, I go to jump on the phone. They stabbed me 9 times in the back. Like when I'm on the phone, they just went bang, 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 bang. I turned and they were gone.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I just remember like the screws running in with all the gas and everything, and they actually like got me with it more than anyone. And I was just thinking like, I didn't even know I couldn't breathe. Like I was just like, the adrenaline was just like, whoosh. And I remember once they come in, I first tried to duck the gas. And once I seen that gate open, I just stood up and they're like, stay there. We'll call the clinic. And most people would wait for the clinic and get wheeled out and whatever. I said, no, I'm fine. Like I refused to believe what just happened. In my head, you know, I was like, these guys can't do that to me. Like it's not happening. So I just stood up and walked. And they were like, are you all right? You're right. Sit down. I didn't know because it was all in my back, but the back of me was just red. I didn't know, but you know, and I'm just walking like normal, like casual, like, yeah. Got into the clinic. They're telling me, are you all right? Like they're telling me I'm going grey and white and stuff. And I'm thinking, what? What's going on here? You know? And they're like, are you all right? Like you know, you've been stabbed, rah, 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 rah. And I thought, oh, it's okay. Like I'm not going to die, all this stuff, you know. And eventually they came in, the ambulance got there, gave me ketamine and handcuffed me and took me, and I ended up having a punctured lung, like, which was lucky because one of them hit my spine. There was like 3 in the back of my head. Like I remember 2 went through my shoulders.
Jeez.
But I do remember my shoulder hurting. Like, yeah, but after getting back from that, it was like that was between being locked in there. I actually started drawing when they locked us in at Silverwater, and then going there, getting stabbed, and they sent me straight back to Silverwater, but to the normal wing. And then I told them, oh, my friends are still locked in up there, because they were still locked in up where we came from. I said, if you aren't going to send me up there with them, then you have to bring them down because I was with them. And they, instead of sending me up there, they bring them down because I felt so bad. And I'm like that with people. Like once I get connected to them,
Sure.
I feel like if you're there, I have to be there with you.
Yeah, sure.
You know, I just left. I can't come back and be in the normal
Sure.
when you're not. Yeah, but then it was so like lucky they left me there because that was the day that I seen old mate and he had the paint.
You know what? How does someone go from a psychology of dealing with life and death like that?
Yeah.
Occupying your mind so you don't go mentally crazy.
Yeah.
Trading drugs for a television so you don't go mentally crazy. Getting stabbed 9 times. Worried about your friends. To a guy now who is quite famous in the public eye, selling his paintings all over the world.
Yeah.
Coming here, giving talks at the galleries.
Yeah.
How do you cope with that?
I don't know. It's crazy. Like it's just, at first I didn't realize it because I didn't know any artists. I didn't know any galleries. I didn't know anyone that was into art or anything. So it's quite strange that it's happened like this, but I didn't realize how quick it was happening till other artists were telling me, Nathan, like, you're actually going crazy. Like, this is crazy. And I'm speaking to artists that are
crazy in a good way.
Yeah. Like
other artists are going, mate, you got something.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, because I got out and I found the painting and art and I had all this good energy now and I didn't want to let go of that. So every day I'd be in there painting and painting. And I think that's why I want to do more because I'm holding that and I want to give that to everyone because I've felt the depths, you know, I felt the bad stuff and I hate that. And if I see anyone even on a quarter of the way there, I want to bring them up to where I am now. Yeah. I want to show them how good things can be. Well, also, and I want to give back.
A lot of people give back. They want to give back.
Yeah.
But is there ever a fear that it's going to run out?
Nah, I don't know why I don't fear that. People say that, like, will you run out of ideas or the energy? And I just don't believe I can.
I didn't get that feeling when reading about your stuff. Yeah. Like there was a time where you said, it's like winning lotto over it. And over again, that same feeling of getting everything out.
Yeah. And it's so funny because like before when I was, you know, into drugs and crime and all that, like money was so important to me. But now like money comes and it's just like, I don't care where it goes. I don't care what it does.
You
I don't care if it sits there. Yeah. As long as I have my paints and my paintbrush and my fiance and my kids, and that's all I want.
Well, do you know that's what everybody has a lot of people have a misconception of just about that. They believe that money will give them happiness.
Yeah.
When you find happiness and you realize it's in something so simple, money doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
But the irony is that you start getting it because you're doing something that you love.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to tell people that don't know that journey.
Yeah.
They're like, well, Nathan, it's okay for you because you're getting money.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't always have that.
Yeah, I didn't.
And it's by painting that's allowed me to gain this work now.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think, Nathan, you've got to tell this story more. You got to put it in your bio.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It doesn't make people look down on you or make them look up to you because they're not looking or judging you for what happened years ago.
Yeah.
5 years ago, 10 years. They're not judging you by that. They're judging you by your painting.
Yeah.
And they're looking at your painting going, you know why he's doing this painting? You know why he's good at fucking doing this? It's because of that.
Yeah.
We can't get that from this guy or this artist or this artist or this artist. That could raise your profile even more.
Yeah.
Because when I read your thing, it was great. Don't get me wrong, it was great. But I'd read other bios.
Yeah.
Hearing you now, if I had read just a small 2-liner or a 3-liner on that, I'd never be embarrassed. I reckon that would increase your profile.
Yeah.
You know, so the reason why you're painting now is because of that experience that started when your dad left.
Yeah.
All the way through to the prison and learning how putting that green dot to that paper, you know. And that's another thing. You said by limiting yourself to one medium, you restrict or constrict the artistic process.
Yeah.
Explain that. Because I'm thinking, why isn't that a good thing? Why are you restricting your artistic process? Because after that you said, but then each painting becomes a life of its own.
Yeah.
But I wanted to for you to explain a bit more about that.
It's just like a person, you know, there's so many layers to people. I can't put something just in oil paint or just in acrylic or just, you know, with a crayon or a pencil. You know, once you start to add them layers and textures, and they have different strokes, they have, you know, it makes it more interesting. Just like a person, you know, you got all these different parts to you. So if I just had charcoal, if I just had acrylic paint and I tried to do it, you know, it's like it's missing something. It's like it's half done. And there's like a lot missing. So I constantly, every time I order online, I'll always look for something I haven't used before.
Is that right?
Yeah, because I want to know everything. I'm so interested in art. Like I'm just so in love with it. Like I want to know everything, and I want to know everything that I can do. And I want to know what I can achieve, and I want to know like how good I can make things, and is there something I can do better? You know, like I've done that, I've used all these mediums, but is there another thing I can add?
Yeah.
You know, like I just want it all. Like it's like I'm trying to put it all on one thing, but I can't. You know, like I'm trying to squeeze it all in, and my paintings are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah. Like I just ordered a roll which I hadn't done before, which is 3 meters high, which will be the like short end, you know. But it's like it doesn't even fit. I can't even like put it on my wall, so I'm gonna have to clear out my shed and just roll it out and do my best. But it's like I've got so much in there to put out there that I just want the canvases to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and I feel like I'll finish it and I'll be happy with it, but then I'm like, there's more. Like there's so much more. Like there's not even a percentage of it. Like I've got so much more to give.
Oh, mate. It must be fantastic to have that feeling.
It's so great. It's like 35 years just bottled up and just let out. Like
now here's the thing that all artists struggle with. Okay, this is the irony of discovering what you love.
Yeah,
and it's like when I loved writing, all I wanted to do is sit in a room and write.
Yeah,
I needed to get out all these ideas, similar. But as you get older, the problem that I found was having, which I suppose Buddhism helps with that, but having that balance of, I just want to do that, but I've got to live this life too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got to give my time to my kids.
Yeah.
I've got to give that affection to my wife.
Yeah.
And I can't be sitting there having dinner with my wife thinking about the painting in the shed.
Yeah.
Do you find that sometimes?
Yeah. Hard to separate.
That balance
Yeah.
and that like writing. This is what that film was about. Throughout my whole life, I had wanted to write. When I was a kid, I wanted to be Stephen King, not Steven Spielberg. Right?
Yeah.
And when I started to found that love, all I wanted to do was write. And then when I discovered it, and then all I kept doing is writing, it never became good enough.
Yeah.
So I became my dream destroyer. I became that dream destroyer. So I would always, before anyone read it, I'd throw it away.
Yeah.
And then as an adult, here I was getting paid to write a feature screenplay for 1 year. So somebody's paying me to do what I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
It was the best job in the world.
Yeah.
But I suddenly became this isolated figure. I remember sitting having dinner with my wife and thinking, I just want to go right.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking, Wayne, I've got to stop that. I've got to balance this.
Yeah.
I've got to balance this out. Like, I found that incredibly hard. And then here I was doing what I loved, but yet I was this lonely person.
Yeah.
And so this film was about that.
Yeah.
And in fact, it wasn't my film. It was the theatre company asked me to do this for them, these 3 ideas. But within these 3 ideas, I thought, this is the 3 sections of my life.
Yeah.
It was a hidden message in
Yeah.
the film. They loved it, but they didn't know the meaning behind each segment.
Yeah.
And it was those 3 segments, me discovering what I loved through being ridiculed at school, then doing what I loved, but never thinking it was good enough, finally getting paid to do what I love, and then suddenly realizing there's an other side to that of being absolutely isolated and lonely in that world, whether it's the world of the canvas, in that bubble of that creative world, or that world of writing, in that storytelling world. That was the difficulty I found.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're finding that, having kids.
Absolutely.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. I just, because there's a lot of demand at the moment for my work too. So it's like, and my fiance, like, she sort of come into my life as I started selling art, which was 3 years ago. So she came in a couple of months later. So trying to build that relationship and have a relationship, and then we've got a daughter too now, which I have to put attention, and then, but then I'm getting so much more famous, so much quicker than, like I didn't even, like I would have been so happy to be half this famous by the time I died. So it's pretty crazy, and there's a lot of demand, and I try and get it all done, and I'm lucky where I have my studio at my house, so I can run in and out. Like I do go in every night for dinner, but the one thing where I sort of fail is coming to bed early, because once I start ticking, it just gets quicker and quicker, and it's like it's a snowball. So by the time it hits midnight, I should already be in bed, but now I've got 100 things I want to do. And I'm scared I'll wake up and forget them, or they'll be different. My ideas will be different tomorrow. Will it be the same? So I feel like I have to get them out now.
So I'm saying, mate, balance will be your number one friend.
Yeah.
If you can balance that demand on you, because it's only going to get more.
Yeah.
But not think about your family as a distraction, but more as a complement to that life.
Yeah.
They're not a complication.
No.
They're a complement.
Yeah.
Don't let them become a complication.
No. Yeah.
And I think having that perspective, then you don't mind giving that time, because then you're sort of going, well, this is complementing that journey.
Yeah.
And I need that balance, because you realize how, look, I'm talking, I don't know your world. I am you without the fame or the money. But I understand the artistic journey.
Yeah.
And I understand how demanding that can be.
Yeah.
And how important balance is. That's where I think you needed to meet that guy from Laos who was a Buddhist.
Yeah.
Because there's lessons in there for balance. Buddhism's all about balance.
Yeah.
And understanding the pain where that comes from.
Yeah.
Having a wife and child, balance.
Yeah.
You know, being able to give now that childhood that you lost to your child.
Yeah.
But also give her the lessons that you learned along the way.
Yeah.
And then your paintings will evolve
Yeah.
into something. So
Yeah.
I think, but man, like all the best for that, because it just sounds
Yeah.
like you're just starting.
Yeah.
And for me, it's not all like a giving thing. I'm thinking one day if you turn into a Picasso, people would be looking at this podcast. when you're this like person that's no one can get access to anymore. Oh man, I knew Nathan when he was, you know, when he was semi-famous compared to where he is today. Yeah, but isn't it a crazy world, eh?
It is, yeah. And I often look back and think, wow, imagine that just even 5 minutes before I did that dot.
I know.
Like to look at myself now, there's no way in the world I'd believe it. Like I'd laugh my ass off. I said, no way in the world that's
if someone came to you in prison and said, Nathan, in this year, in a couple of years from now, basically, you've been selling paintings for 3 years, you've been painting for 5.
Yeah.
And that first dot was 5 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, man. And if someone told you after that green dot that you put on in prison, one day you're going to be famous, people are going to be buying these paintings that you do from other countries that you haven't even visited.
Yeah.
And either collectors or put them up on a wall.
Yeah.
Isn't that surreal to just think about? Do you sit back every now and then and go, fuck, people are buying this.
Yeah. It's also, and that's the thing. Like I think now, like I've changed so much through art because I've discovered myself so much that I look back and think, how was I that person? Like, where did that come from? You know, like I can't gauge it. Like I can't feel what that person used to feel. It's like I just slipped into another dimension quickly. Like
that must be exactly how it feels.
Yeah, it is.
It's almost like a parallel universe.
Yeah.
And someone's just swapped two of you over.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Now there's some poor bastard over there doing time. And you're living the life painting. Yeah. But that must be what it feels like, right?
Yeah, it does. Totally like
a soul swap somewhere.
And I mean with all these great people and other artists that I know now and
then them looking up to you.
Yeah. And they have this great energy. And I remember when I started, like I was messaging these people like, oh, can you help me? I don't know what to do. Or, you know, trying to get help off people. And I remember that people don't like to help each other, artists.
Really?
And I don't know if it's a thing where
intimidation or something.
No, like it's hard to succeed in the art world, so you don't really want to give away any of that. But it's not all of them, you know. But there are a lot of them, and maybe I got a lot of the wrong people at first. So, but now if anyone asks me for help, I'm straight like yes,
sure,
yeah, I'm straight like here. We can do this, you know.
But,
like,
you know, man,
this is how you do it.
Never lose that childlike quality.
Nah.
And never be embarrassed of that because, dude, that would be the first thing on my profile.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, this is what my life's been.
Yeah.
And the green dot, like that, there's something on that, mate. Like the green dot project.
And it's crazy that it was green because, like, I loved green my whole life.
Yeah.
But as soon as you they make you wear green.
Oh, is that right?
So then everyone tells you that I hate green, rah, rah, but I'd never let them take that from me. I was like, no, this is my favorite color. Like, I don't care if you make me wear it. Like, cool, I get to see green every day. Like, you know, this is my favorite color. But everyone would take that the wrong way. Like, oh, I'm never wearing green again when I get out of here. I'm like, I'll be wearing green every day. Like, that's my color.
Yeah.
You aren't taking anything from me. You might put me here for a bit, but, you know, I'm still going to be me when I get out of here.
And then someone says to you, you're going to be in Western Australia, Perth, giving a talk at an art gallery.
Yeah.
And then on a podcast talking about this green dot I'm about to put on the paper now.
Yeah.
I just always think about shit like that, eh? It's just crazy.
Yeah. Like yesterday I was so nervous and I thought, geez, I fought in a cage and stuff. Like I just talking to people, it's just talking.
Yeah, and, but it's you're revealing.
Yeah.
It's different, man.
Yeah.
Like, you're vulnerable.
Yeah. Like I'm showing them who I am now. Like in there, it's just like swing, you know. But yeah, it was just, I remember at the end of it, my teeth my lip, like my mouth was so dry that I was so nervous. My lips were stuck to my teeth, it felt like. And every time someone asked a question, I'm trying to lick my teeth, like trying to make them wet. And I'm like, shit, what's going on here? You know, like, am I about to start talking like this? Like, yeah.
Have you met, you know, coming from your world and you've been in this world now for a bit.
Yeah.
Do you ever sit there and go, when they start talking about your art, do you ever sit there and go, either, no, that's just total bullshit,
Yeah.
or I don't understand a word you guys are saying?
Oh, no, it's actually great because 90% of what people say to me is what I want them to feel from my art. So I know that
good.
I'm transferring that through the canvas, and it's just so reassuring. And like, that's my favorite part.
Yeah.
I hardly ever get to see that. I paint them, they get rolled up, put in tubes and sent off to galleries. So when I do get to have a painting there, and I get to see people walk up and their face light up, and you know, look, I've just gave them that energy.
Yeah.
I've just given that to them, like just through a canvas, you know, like something that's so like not fake, but it's not alive, but I've made it alive.
You have.
I've given it life. Yeah.
That Desiree said something to me that really stuck with me. She said, when I look at a painting, each brushstroke that I was associating with a feeling when painting that,
Yeah.
I feel when I look at those strokes at the full painting now. So that painting is a journey of myself over the time I painted that.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, oh, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But what you just said, it just must blow you away. Like I paint it, I roll it up, and it's sent to galleries all over the, that's insane.
Yeah. But I get messages and from collectors and stuff, and they tell me how great my paintings make them feel. And you know, yesterday after I gave the talk, I had 3 people I think came up to me and told me that I'd inspired them to paint, and 2 of them actually said it was from last year, from my finalist entry last year, which I never got to see because of COVID. And I thought, wow, like this guy went home yesterday, and last year, and painted because he seen my work.
That's incredible.
He went straight and bought paint and canvas, and he was so inspired and happy, and like he.
Do you
felt
think
that.
you'd ever go back to prison and do a talk?
Oh, I'd do a talk in there, yeah.
I do?
I'd love to, because...
Oh, you haven't, but you would?
I haven't, but I would, because like I know there's people in there like me.
That's right.
And I know, like, you know, they've got all these masks on and they've got their shields on and that, but if they can understand that there's something behind that and that there's so much better stuff out here. Like,
especially you being where they were.
Yeah.
And what you learned in prison.
Yeah.
You've made a life for it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great inspiration, man.
And so many of them have lost hope. You know, so many of them have lost hope, and they accept that that's it for them. They think that that's it. They've been told that's it, you know, like they get judges and screws telling them, like, you know, you're a piece of shit. Like, you belong here. That's why you're here. Shut up. Lock the door. Like, you know, and then they start to believe it. So they get out, and the first thing they do is go to their dealer and get on the drugs, and you know, 2 weeks later they're back. Like, to turn around so fast when you're sitting in there for a bit, you just see people like it's like a revolving door. They're just back, boom, boom. Like, didn't you just get out?
Oh man.
Yeah, they're like, oh, fucking parole.
Just lost
but
hope.
It's not parole. It's you.
Yeah,
you did it, mate. You
lost hope. Lost hope, and has found more comfort in the surroundings of a jail.
Yeah. Well, I
probably
think
more afraid of out there.
Yeah, I actually did that once because I was out for 6 weeks, I think, and I found that the police were looking for me. And I thought, you know what, I can't handle it out here. It's so much. They've made it so simple and easy for me. And they're feeding me. They've given me a bed. There's nothing I have to worry about in there. You know, like, I don't have to worry about, I have to grow up. I have to get a job. I have to look after someone.
Yeah.
You know, as soon as you lock that door behind me, it's just me, and you're looking after me now again. Like, I'm back to being a kid.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, so it is. And they've taken education away. Like, people, they teach you these little courses, which are, you know, they're just blanket courses where everybody's an individual. You can't just tell everyone, like, this is the course, you do this and you'll be fine. Because everyone's been through so much different stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I do see a lot of people in the, you know, they come from the Housing Commission, and they've been like around violence, and like a lot of them have been molested and stuff through their lives. And I just feel so bad for them that they don't know that there's more out there.
Yeah, because it's very hard. It's nice. It's easy in retrospect to look back. Yeah. But when you're in that puddle of poison, man.
Yeah.
It's very hard when you're just trying to get air, and someone's saying it's okay, it'll get better. It's hard, but actually having somebody come and say, look, I know because I was there.
Yeah.
If one person there could become the next Nathan.
Yeah.
and you were part of that in some different form. Like he could listen to you and go, you know what? I like sculpturing. I like writing. I like, he finds a voice in the world because someone else has found a voice that was once in that cell.
Yeah.
It could be very healing for you.
Yeah.
At that time to sort of go, you know what?
I got him out of
It's
there.
almost a closure too.
Yeah.
To that door, that final closure of that cell door closing behind you.
I bring someone with me, like
But man, so interesting. So what's next for Nathan?
Oh, I have no idea. Like things are going so fast for me that, like I found out the other day, I'm going to have a painting auctioned in Sotheby's auctions. Like that's just crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, and I said it to my mum. I said, Mum, 3 years ago it took me 3 months to sell a painting for $80 to my friend. And then 3 years later, someone tells me, I think someone's putting your painting into Sotheby's. Like, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, but well deserved, man.
Yeah.
Well deserved. It was magpie coming to you and saying, don't worry.
Yeah.
Things are going to be okay.
Yeah.
It may not look like it now.
Yeah.
I'm here just to be your friend.
Yeah.
But someone's obviously guided you, mate.
Yeah.
You've had a guide. You really have. And I'm not saying it doesn't come to the work, but there's something that's happened. Like you said, either you've swapped with some poor bastard in the parallel universe who's now in a cage and is like, fuck this.
What happened? Where's my paints?
And your painting's now in Sotheby's, getting auctioned in Sotheby's.
Yeah.
But it's a crazy world. But at the end of the day, you just got to sit down and laugh at how absurd it is.
Yeah.
And here you are now, turned your life around and all the best. I think it'll just be up and up from here.
Yeah.
Up and always keep that balance with you,
Yeah.
But man, I'm so happy you came on. It's been a great chat.
Very much.
It's been a great chat. And I never know what to expect, but I always love the people behind what they do.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't here because Nathan's a famous artist.
Yeah.
I'm here because I'm like, okay, every artist has a colorful past.
Yeah.
There's not one that doesn't.
Yeah.
Some are more colorful than others. But that's what makes the man.
Yeah.
And what makes the man makes whatever they do, which is why they're here.
Yeah.
But man, thank you so much for coming on and really, really appreciate it and all the best from now. And when you are a Picasso and when your paintings are going for like 50, 100 million, I'll be like, man, that dude was on my show. Come on.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you too, man. You too.